On today's episode of Titus and Tate, Duncan Robinson is very rich, and now we know why he didn't want to come on the show, Tate.
Yes.
Duncan texted us. We talked about it a few weeks ago when he was in LA, and we said come on the show, and then he's like, I can't. I'm doing Friday beer show, whatever. But
Duncan walked into our studio and said, "Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around."
When he was texting us to say he couldn't come on the show, I remember him saying, I'll be back in August. Let's do it in August. And now I understand why he wanted to wait until August, Tate.
Yes, he wanted to smack us with stacks. That's the only thing that I can take away from this. A true bad guy.
Duncan Robinson has signed what the Michigan basketball program is proudly declaring the largest contract of an undrafted player.
Big Ten stat of the day.
Who also played Division III, people forget, who also once upon a time was considering a journalism career, and texted me.
That one
I don't know if people remember that, but once upon a time, Duncan texted me. But also, he still is doing a journalism career, as Woj pointed out. He is the host of the Long Shot Pod.
Yes. Owned and operated by Tommy Alter, another friend of the program. What a time. Who would have thought this all would come together?
We're going to talk about NBA free agency a little bit. It is underway, and this is, according to the nerds on the internet, this is the only time, basically, the NBA. This is the best time of the NBA, Tate. This is the exciting time.
Yes.
This is the time things
get
shaken up.
The NBA makes money off potential, right? That's what the NBA cares about. They don't care about product. They care about potential, and free agency is all about, and the draft itself is all about potential.
This is the time of year where a guy signs a 4-year, $72 million contract, and some 18-year-old nerd in freaking Kansas loses his mind on the internet and says, I wouldn't have given him more than $63 million for 4 years.
Deal.
I can't. Bad deal. What are we doing?
$78 million for Evan Fournier? Are you kidding me? That's more like a $55 million deal.
Meanwhile, the Team USA is back in a big way by defeating Spain in a come-from-behind victory. But Team USA is in the Final Four in the Olympics, Tate. The panic button may have been pressed too soon, or has it been pressed too soon?
Yeah.
We will suss that out. You are the Team USA expert.
Yes.
I will defer to you in terms of how big of a fraud Team USA is. But we're in the Final Four, which means we have to now lose 2 games in a row to not medal, which I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to be on the podium. Congratulations.
Yes,
we did.
Yes, we've always medaled when we have competed in the Olympics. And granted, we've had bronze, we've had gold, we've had silver. But I feel like finally we have a real shot to maybe not medal, Titus, even though your optimism is high. But we'll talk about it.
Panic button. The hand is hovering.
I'm over the
meanwhile, there's some college basketball news. Number one, the NCAA is having a meeting. It has been announced in November. They are basically having an existential crisis where they're going to try to figure out what the hell they are. So we might talk about that. Also, SEC rumors that they're never going to go away. Teams are trying to join the SEC, or are they? I don't know. We'll suss that out.
We'll see. Also, the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are meeting today to figure out if they can form a super conference.
I love it. There's a lot to talk about. We'll get to as much of it as we can. But first,
Woody Durham.
All right, NBA free agency is underway. The clock started, when was it, Monday? At
I think so. Midnight.
That's at midnight the clock started, and all these deals got done very quickly, Tate. Very impressive work there. Who moves faster, the NBA front offices and agents, or college basketball head coaches when players go into the transfer portal?
It's kind of the same thing. I remember there was this running joke, probably like 2011, 2012. Mitch Kupchak, he was waiting until the deadline, like right when it struck midnight. Mitch Kupchak would start calling free agents for the first time. And then he realized that everyone had been tampering behind the scenes. and he was like, wait a second, I thought we were all playing the same game here, but far from that. And that really is the NBA. It is a lot of tampering behind the scenes. I mean, I saw Russell Westbrook met with LeBron James and Anthony Davis where they discussed the trade that would happen about 3 weeks ago. Again,
it's all stupid. It's all stupid.
It's all stupid to me.
I think now that the NCAA is allowing players to make money, I think the next crusade for the blue checkmark basketball fans on Twitter is to have the NBA get rid of all of its rules.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
I mean, they've gotten rid of traveling. They've gotten rid of carrying. Just keep it going. Just get rid of everything.
It makes no sense. So like, we all know what's going on anyway. And really, like, the rationale behind it is very, very stupid that and again, if you're trying to do the deal that people love to do where they liken NBA players to their own lives, like when the Malice in the Palace happens, Ron Artest should be thrown in prison because if I was at my job, and I punched a guy, I would be arrested. So why is it, like, people love making those false equivalencies. So why don't we do that with the NBA and say, like, if I wanted to negotiate a deal, I can do this whenever I want. It's a free market. What are we doing? Why do I have rules? Why can I not talk? And they're doing it anyway, Tate. It's stupid. It's all very dumb that we have to wait. But nonetheless, thank God all the GMs did wait, and they got to work on day one. And
it was about 2 minutes after the deadline. $90 million deals are signed 4 minutes into the new free agency period. Somehow that works.
Certainly the biggest news in our world is Duncan Robinson, 5 years, $90 million, staying with the Miami Heat, which is it's on one hand very exciting news. Duncan is very, very rich. I'm very happy for him. He's always been, like, kind of grounded, but now we get to see how grounded he's really going to be. You know, like, he's always played the common man role pretty well as he's ascended in the NBA here. But now the test is really on, Tate, because I have a feeling our phone calls are going to start going unanswered a little more often. I have a feeling some stuff like that's gonna. We'll see. We'll see what happens next.
It's tough to think that a man with $90 million is going to act the exact same. I would assume that he's going to be in different circles, probably hanging out more with JJ Redick in the Hamptons, as millionaires do. We would presume all this. We're not sure. I thought the best thing for Duncan, as free agency started, all these sites, The Athletic, CBS, NBA.com, whatever it is, they have their top 10 free agents. And Duncan Robinson was in the top 10 of all of them. And I thought that was a huge win for our show because, one, we pushed him to the moon, about 3-4 years ago at this point. And right now, he goes to the finals in the bubble. He gets the Jimmy Neutron treatment. He gets all the the conversation around him culturally. He gets all the jokes, all the memes, all that sort of stuff. But again, if you look at there's a lot of free agents. Like, he was ahead of Devontae Graham. He was ahead of Tim Hardaway Jr. He was ahead of Spencer Dinwiddie. So Duncan Robinson is a legit star, and now he's a multimillionaire. And we just have to remember that he was originally a friend of the program.
Big Ten stat of the day: Duncan Robinson was a top 10 free agent in the 2021 free agent draft class on most of these sites. On 83% of the sites, he was listed.
Congrats, Duncan.
No, it's exciting. We're obviously very happy for him, and it's well deserved. And by that I mean that my friend getting money is always well deserved. I don't actually know.
Yes.
Some nerd will probably chime in and be like, his advanced stats actually say that he deserves
73 million
over 5 years, not 90. To that I say,
shut up.
Shut up. It's well deserved. He deserves the money. The part that sucks, the part that's boring, is that this deal was done, as we said, like 3 minutes after the deadline or the window opens.
Yep.
And he stayed with the Miami Heat, which, like, I didn't want him to not stay with Miami. I wanted some tip to net graphics from Duncan.
Yes,
I wanted some mystique. I wanted his name floated to the Lakers, to the Knicks.
Yes.
I wanted him to, like, toy with the idea of going to China or Australia or something. The
EuroLeague.
The idea of, like, an offer has been made from the Chinese basketball league for Duncan to make like $50 million a year, and they want to like build, whether it's true or
they
not.
They want
like,
to start a new franchise with Duncan.
Yes, I wanted all this stuff to float around. We could come on the show, talk about it. We could try to call Duncan unsolicited, see if he, get it. None of that's gonna happen now. He said he all that happened was the window opened and Duncan got rich and everything else stayed the same.
Yeah, well, and also shout out to Duncan because when we were joking on this program when he snubbed us, I assumed that Miami was moving on because I thought to myself, there's no way that Pat Riley walks into his office, a man who has put together some of the greatest teams in NBA history, that he was going to say, I got to pay Duncan $90 million because I assumed teams like the Knicks, like you said, would throw a huge offer at him to basically try to steal him away from the Miami Heat. So the fact that Pat Riley got in a room and said, we're not letting Duncan leave, I mean, that he has to feel great about that. I mean, this is one of the pillars of NBA basketball saying, Duncan, you belong here. You're great. We love you here in Miami. And I couldn't be happier for him.
I love the idea of the Pistons signing him.
Yes.
For the Michigan connection, and then Duncan looks up and realizes he's on a team with Isaiah Livers again.
And Livers is like, I'm
Livers
actually
is
better than
starting,
him.
yeah.
He's like telling everybody, he's like, I should start over him.
Livers takes his minutes once again. Another big deal that happened in our world that's also equally good news in that one of our guys got the bag, but also bad news in that this is extremely boring. And I was hoping for more intrigue and content. And frankly, it's disgusting that our friends don't ever think about us, Tate. Mike Conley, once again, secures the bag. 3 years, $74 million deal to stay in Utah. I'm happy for Mike, but also I'm devastated for myself because I wanted to will Mike to Los Angeles somehow, either the Clippers, the Lakers. I didn't care. I just love the idea of Mike playing in LA, and like I can use that to my personal gain somehow. And that dream is dead.
Yes, you were like, I need tickets to games, Mike. Please come to Los Angeles.
Let me go hang out with Kanye at Nobu with you or something, you know? And just like, I promise I won't tell stories on the pod. I promise.
Yeah, you promise. This is tampering. You know what I mean? This is the problem with tampering, because if tampering did not exist, Russell Westbrook did not have dinner at LeBron's house on Taco Tuesday with Anthony Davis and agrees basically to be the third option. So then we would have started free agency at midnight. And then I think there's a world in which Mike Conley could have gotten ahead of Russell Westbrook and convinced, Anthony Davis and LeBron James that he was going to be their point guard of the future. But because of the tampering that happened 3 weeks ago, Russell Westbrook basically took his spot. So that's why I'm upset. You know what I mean?
How do you file a claim? I like that idea. How do you you know how like when you're watching golf, you can just like call a hotline apparently, or at least that's my understanding of it. That's happened.
You saw someone move the ball on camera. Yeah.
And you just call the hotline. That's I think that's how it works.
Anonymous tip.
Yeah, the anonymous tip line that Bryson DeChambeau grounded his club in the bunker. Please.
Yes.
Give him
everyone in America would be doing that if he was in the Olympics. Thank God he was in the Olympics. You talk about pulling against your own country. That would have been really tough. Thank you, Xander Schauffele.
Where's the tip line for tampering? I need to call that and complain to Adam Silver that Taco Tuesday has ruined my trips to Nobu with Mike Conley.
David Stern would never let this happen, because David Stern understands that content is king. You know what I mean? And he also likes the idea of competition. So he would have let Rob Pelinka flounder a little bit in this new free agency pool, but instead LeBron James gets ahead of it. LeBron James gets the deal done, and here we are. Mike Conley back to the Jazz.
If any two teammates met with another NBA player, David Stern would make them record the entire conversation and submit a report of all the things you talked about and why you talked about them.
And then he would release the tapes.
He would put it out there. Well, is this good for content though? Because I'm trying to think of the other big names. Chris Paul staying with the Suns. I don't think that was much of a surprise. At least it wasn't to me. I know the Lakers were the
dark horse.
The dark horse. That's what we say. The content team. That was the content angle. It was like, what if Chris Paul signs with the Lakers? And as I said to you when those rumors initially started floating, why would Chris Paul go to a worse team? And I don't even think that was a joke. That was like legitimately my thought of like, if Chris Paul wants to win a ring, why would he leave the team he almost won a ring with to go join the team that he beat in the first round? Makes zero sense whatsoever. So that's kind of boring, Tate.
But also $30 million for a 40-year-old Chris Paul. I mean, he is going to be the highest paid NBA player based on contracts ever. He's going to make $446 million career earnings once he wraps it up at age 40. I mean, that is I don't even understand how else to even talk about this other than one, what a flex by him to get that front office to agree to that, because he was already, you feel like he got 1 or 2 more years of Chris Paul at best. In fact, he was already reeling by the time we got to Game 5 in the finals, and now we're going to pay him for 4 more years. I mean, it's good for Ayton, it's good for development. I like that. I like that angle. But I think if I'm the Suns, Chris Paul is going to be on my staff. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at a player-coach situation. Monty Williams is making $5 million a year. Chris Paul's making 30 to be his assistant coach, but that's where we're headed.
When are we gonna get to the point where it's no longer rings culture, it's bag culture, and we start talking about guys? There.
It's already
there. I know,
there.
but like we stop counting how many rings guys have, and we start talking about Chris Paul as maybe the greatest of all time because he's made so much money playing basketball, and that's all that ultimately matters.
Coach Calipari literally put up a graphic today that I wanted to bring up for the people at home because it was the funniest thing ever. He put up, most times you would put up, This guy got his deal. Congratulations. They put up the max contracts of Cal's guys in the NBA. And Anthony Davis and John Wall both have earned 2 max contracts. So it was like Anthony Davis, parentheses 2, John Wall, parentheses 2. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got a max contract from the Thunder. That was the reason that they put this graphic together. I mean, it is... Kentucky's already leaning this way. They are in the bad culture war, and they are winning by a landslide.
We need the cousin of the Big Ten stat of the day is the Calipari stat of the day, which is it has nothing to do with how many games you win or lose or Final Fours or national titles. It's draft picks and bags, and that's it.
Facts. And endorsement deals.
It's Kentucky putting out tweets that say we've had 48 draft picks in the last, and Villanova's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
we have national titles.
Yeah,
and both fan bases are like, we won. You know, that's the Kentucky move. That's genius.
The Kentucky fans, I feel like the fans themselves have to roll their eyes at this, but the Calipari influence on who they are or who they're represented to be at this point, they're too far gone, and it's a lifetime contract, as we know. So they just have to. They have to keep riding this wave.
Well, that's why the guy, the man who loves the bag so much, got the lifetime contract, and I think that's just poetic. Because that's the ultimate Calipari stat of the day is I signed a lifetime contract.
Yes,
I'm not going anywhere.
Yes, unless someone calls me from the NBA with more money.
So Chris Paul, because he opted out, right? He had a player option.
He had $44 million owed to him next year. Yeah,
and for 5 minutes we thought, oh, this is interesting. Is Chris Paul? He's now an unrestricted free agent, and it's gone, and he's signing back with the Suns. So that's not great for content. I guess the two that are interesting are Kyle Lowry signs with the Heat.
Yep.
That's so far. You would say that's the biggest move of a guy going from one team to the next. That's the biggest
splash, but it's also it's interesting because Kyle Lowry is 35, and so he signed he has the exact same numbers as Chris Paul, so he's making $30 million a year. So he signed a 3-year deal for $30 million a year, so 3 years, $90 million in total. And Chris Paul is a year older than Kyle Lowry, so you would think, okay,
they got the deals mixed up as they faxed them in.
That's what it kind of felt like that. I mean, I was expecting maybe Chris Paul gets like a 2-year deal with maybe we just give him $50 million, but it's like for 2 years, but to get 4 years and $30 million, whoever Chris Paul's agent is, congratulations.
I would have done 4 years at like $27 million. I think $30 million is a reach for sure for Chris Paul.
We're turning into the guys that we hate right now. We're like arguing over people with money.
Maybe you give him just before the title run, just for the sentimentality of it, you give him 27.5 a year, but 20, anything more than that, it's an overpay. It's a reach. It's ridiculous. But the one guy I am dragging this out. I'm not getting to the point. I was going to say the one thing that's like semi-juicy right now, and we can talk about in terms of speculation, in terms of content, whatever. Kawhi Leonard is an unrestricted free agent.
The number one free agent.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was always the number one free agent. But I guess I actually don't know what the thought was going into this. I'll just speak from my own thoughts. Like, I thought the guy is definitely going to stay in LA because it seemed like he worked so hard to get his way out to Los Angeles because he's from
Riverside.
He's from quote unquote this area. He wants to play.
You could be from Sacramento and they're like, he's from the LA area.
He's from LA area. So my understanding was he worked so hard to get to the Clippers. The Clippers have obviously a great team. They've underachieved, I guess you would say, based on what we expected when Kawhi.
They went to the conference finals for the first time in franchise history. So I'm going to say that they're doing okay.
But if you want the lifestyle, this is the place to be for Kawhi Leonard. You would assume if you want the family to be nearby, that this would be the place to stay. If you want the best chance of winning a ring, you feel like this would be the place to stay. And yet I find myself with Kawhi Leonard opting out, Tate, wondering aloud, is there a chance this man leaves based on the way his injury / is it an injury? Yes, it's definitely an injury, but also he's keeping it hush hush. All of that played out. It reminded me so much of what was going on in San Antonio that I'm now wondering, could this be a reality? Could Kawhi Leonard actually not re-sign with the Los Angeles Clippers?
I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion. He is meeting with the Mavericks, so I mean, there is a conversation that's happening with Dallas. Dallas is trying to woo him to come there and say, "I know you like playing with Paul George, but what about Luka Doncic?" And the idea of Kawhi Leonard and Luka playing together is very intriguing from all aspects. But I can't see where. I mean, I pretty much think he opted out to get a max deal with the Clippers. But there's also, if you're Steve Ballmer and you're the Clippers, they have on their side, like you said, there's a bit of a reservation, right? Because we love Kawhi. We know Kawhi, when he's healthy, is one of the top 3 players in the league. But also, we haven't had the guarantee that he's going to be healthy. And he does load manage all season. He also lives in San Diego. He also, you know, the first year he was here, pissed off half of our team because he did live in San Diego and basically decided when we practiced and when we did workouts because he got to control the team, which is Kawhi's so quiet and humble that the diva tendencies that he has, you know what I mean? We don't really focus in on it. Like if LeBron lived 2 hours away in Santa Barbara or an hour away in Santa Barbara and then was like, I'll be down at 3 o'clock for practice. That's when we practice. You know, I think a lot of people would be all over him about it. Kawhi has that same energy going on. Paul George is obviously bought in. I think he's going to re-sign. I mean, why would he not? Like you said, all signs point to this. But there could be some hesitation from the Clippers, which could lead to Kawhi and Uncle Dennis saying, "Oh, you don't want our guy? Well, we're going to go talk to the Knicks. We're going to go talk to the Mavericks. We're going to go, you know,
the Pacers.
The Heat are done. Yeah, the Pacers.
The Indiana Pacers. The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, the Heat are the team that I think they wanted to be in this race, but they're out now because they signed Duncan Robinson. So I mean, maybe I would have waited, you know, like, and have seen where Kawhi was in this whole ordeal. But
wait. You're saying you wouldn't have signed Duncan? You would have tried to get Kawhi over Duncan?
I would have gotten. Well, no, I'm not saying that. I would have gotten Kawhi over Kyle Lowry. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna say, oh my God.
But Kawhi is the most fascinating one. John Collins is another name that I think is interesting. That he's also, the Mavericks are looking at everybody because the Mavericks are trying to put a team around Luka because they're watching the Olympics like the rest of us and they're saying to themselves, "Wait a second, we have maybe the best player in the world, so we got to really try to stack this team."
I had this thought. This was one of my half-baked ideas I had when I was in high school, and it was very just selfish of me. And I realized it was stupid, but also I talked myself into it not being the worst idea. My AU team, as you may have heard, Tate, was very good. I don't talk about it much. But
Heat, baby. You're part of Heat culture, by the way. I didn't even realize that.
That's a good one. Were we the original Heatles?
Yeah, I think so.
People are saying. We had, I believe we had 5 NBA players in our starting lineup, Tape. We had, I want to say 11 of the 13 regular guys on our team played Division I basketball. One of them one of the guys that didn't played professional baseball out of high school, but had D1 offers and chose baseball instead. So we were stacked, Tate, right? And I remember thinking to myself, why, if you're a college, why is a college, like, is this, my galaxy brain idea was offer our entire team a scholarship to your, like, just take our AAU team and let us play at Ohio State. And like, we're the entire team. We've wrecked everybody for 4 years. Everybody we play, we destroy. We were playing up a level. We would be guys. It didn't matter. Like, we lost like 4 games in 4 years. State. It was you know. So I thought, give us all scholarships.
If Calipari was at Kentucky, there's a chance that he would have done this.
Yes. Put us all on the same team. We already have the chemistry. You don't have to like figure that out of how we play together, whatever. It's genius, right? And I'm wondering. Is that the move for the Dallas Mavericks with Slovenia, watching Luka Doncic in the Olympics?
Yeah, they're like, we need Mike Tobey.
Just bring the entire Slovenian team.
We need
to
Zoran
Dallas.
Dragic. We need Mike Tobey. Get them over here.
That's my galaxy. If Slovenia wins the gold medal, I think Mark Cuban has to just cut everybody on the team. Hardaway, you're gone. Be gone.
They would love Zoran Dragic. That is for sure. I mean, he had 27 points in their game yesterday. So, I mean, all signs point to maybe Mark Cuban makes that phone call. Also, pour one out for Goran Dragic, by the way, because he leads the Heat as their point guard to the finals in the bubble, and then he's immediately forgotten right now and replaced by Kyle Lowry. So I just wanted to pour one out for him. But there we are. I mean, right. I like the idea of the Mavericks making a bunch of moves, and if we remember, DeAndre Jordan, he's already done this with the Clippers. He's already flirted.
I was gonna say when you're
with
talking
Mark
about the
Cuban.
Clippers and Mavericks, I was having
Yeah.
flashbacks to what was it? Cubans in his car. What was like the tweet that everyone has turned into a meme of like Cuban is driving around Dallas.
Yeah, and then
furious trying to
and
call
then JJ
DeAndre.
Redick tweeted like plane emojis, and then like all the Clippers guys were
That's
like
right.
flying to Dallas to
And
go
then-
try to track him down.
Did Paul Pierce tweet a JPEG of a screenshot of a rocket? Was that?
Yes.
Am I remembering this correctly?
Yes, you are. Yes, I mean, what a time on Twitter. It was so ridiculous, so stupid.
Oh man, the NBA is the best, isn't
But
it?
also, Mark
What a league.
Cuban's in LA, so like a lot. He's in LA a lot. Doesn't live here, I don't think, but he's here a lot. Obviously, probably shooting Shark Tank, and shout out Shark Tank against all odds. But Shark Tank is probably what he was shooting. But he's also recruiting guys from the Clippers and the Lakers to try to come to Dallas, and Kawhi is in that pool. Kawhi is having those conversations,
Yeah, well,
which I like.
That's really all I need. I know he's probably gonna end up back with the Clippers, but the idea of Kawhi, because frankly, like this free agency class doesn't really do it for me. Like
Yeah.
I was, and especially with some of the top guys signing already, Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, Mike Conley, all out of the gate. Duncan signed, Lonzo Ball. I guess that's interesting. That's a move we haven't really talked about, but
Yeah.
Duncan got more money than Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, $90 million. Lonzo gets 4 years, $85 million. I mean, so
That's amazing.
yeah, more
That's
money,
pretty
more
insane.
security. That's
That
what
really
we like
is
to hear.
insane. That is
Yeah.
insane. That Lonzo Ball is the number 2 pick, and from what I can tell, I mean, Lonzo Ball hasn't been as awesome, I think, as everyone thought he would be, but he's not been bad, has he? He's a
No.
pretty good NBA player.
Yeah, he was great. He was great at times with Zion. I love their little screen roll game they had, and he's also Lonzo has a very you talk about time and score, being able to manage a game. Lonzo has that quality, which is a lot of teams. Team USA is looking for that, and Drew Holiday. Luckily, we have him, but. That's something that the Bulls definitely need. I feel bad for my guy Kobe White because this basically, all signs point to with Caruso signing with the Bulls and with Lonzo coming in, that Kobe White is he's officially a 2 guard. I think he's a shooting guard now, so he's not going to be the point guard of the future for the Bulls. Duncan got the exact same deal as Norm Powell, by the way. And if you're Dame Lillard and you're over in Tokyo and you basically said, my team's not good enough. We have to go after some guys. We have to get some upgrades. And they've basically just been like, let's run it back.
Yeah.
Like there has to be, like when you see Norm Powell for $90 million and you're Dame Lillard over there, you got to be like, are you, like, I love Norm Powell, but are you guys kidding me? He would have rather had Duncan for that deal, I think.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say, when we can move on from the free agency stuff. Am I crazy? This is new this year that agents are now being tagged in tweets and mentioned in tweets. It's
Yes,
gone
this
from
is-
like per sources to like these are the sources. They're the agents. Just FYI, this is the agent. Like the agents now have the brands to worry about. Tate.
Yes, I'll tell you a little personal story. So I work with the Wasserman agency, which is all these agents are now getting tagged in these tweets. And when I first went there to meet with them, talking about podcasts and creating series and things like that. And I'm thinking we're talking about the talent. I'm thinking we're talking about Neka Gwumake and all these people. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to make shows with these people. And then they came back to me after I had this little pitch, and they were like, "Yeah, we want to do this for this agent. We want to do this for this agent." And then I realized that the agents are now trying to be stars. They are trying to be content creators. They are trying to be forward facing. That scared me. I balked back on that offer. But like you said, Woj is trying to make this happen. He's trying to make this a thing. So we're going to see a lot more agents.
We're like 5 years away from the agents having agents. There's
Yes,
like one
yes.
agent
Yeah,
who like who
it's already
has-
happening. Rich Paul has an agent.
It's agents all the way down. Who's to blame for this? Is it Rich Paul? It's got to be Rich Paul, right? Like
yeah.
he's the guy. If you're thinking of agents who,
I blame Bob Myers because Bob Myers goes from an agent to being the GM of the Warriors, and he's like a caricature. Rob Pelinka is to blame. Rob Pelinka was famously Kobe's agent, and now is the GM of the Lakers. You know what I mean? You look at the whole New York Knicks front office is basically CAA runs the Knicks. So
I mean Ari Gold? I guess we could do that. Like we're looking back now to
it's Entourage's fault.
It was Entourage's fault.
Yeah.
Was it? Who was Jerry Maguire based? Was it Drew Rosenhaus that Jerry Maguire was supposed to be? Let me look that up.
I think it was.
I feel like Jim would know that.
I think it's like Lee Steinberg or something. I can't even remember the guy's name, but yeah. But there's also like every single agent I felt like at that time said that Jerry Maguire was about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I probably saw an interview where Drew Rosenhaus was like, yeah, they made Jerry Maguire after me, and then I was 12 when I saw that, and I was like, oh, okay, and it's just stuck with me ever since. No, I see what's coming. I don't like it one bit.
I don't like it either.
I don't need it. I don't want it.
Well, let's just be quite honest. Woj's sources are the owners, so a lot of people are like, how does Woj know everything? Well, he has the 30 contacts of all the owners, and they tell him, I'm going to do this. Because at the end of the day, every time that people talk about a GM or, this person in operations, like they don't make decisions. I mean, they act like they do. They act like they're the ones doing this. But at the end of the day, the owners are making decisions. So Woj is getting the reports from the owners. Usually 9 times out of 10. Yeah. So the fact that he is now like pivoted to be like, the agent told me this, he's like on the other side of the table.
I thought that was the understanding was Woj was tight with the front offices and Shams was tight with the agents. Like that was how I always understood. And again, I could be wrong. And like now it's
Woj is tight with the owners. Yeah. Not even the front offices they're useless. They are literally the dummies that are going to do what the owner says. So it's like he is friends with the owners. He knows the owners. He talks to the owners, and the owners tell him what's going to happen.
Let's do a NBA just very quickly. NBA Illuminati power rankings. Who is
number 1? Jerry West.
Oh god. Is there anything else? Should we take a break and come back and talk Olympics? And
is there any free agent that you're like waiting on pins and needles to see? That's what I think is fascinating, because like
let me pull up a list here. Yeah,
there's the names that are still out, like Andre Iguodala is a name that's out there. I'm sure Max Kellerman.
You know what's interesting to me is because he fell off. He fell off.
Please say Danny Green. Please say Danny Green.
A guy who has fallen off the face of the earth, from my perspective, as a native Hoosier, is Victor Oladipo.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, he's an unrestricted free agent. He apparently has no offers on the table. There is rumblings that he's going to sign a minimum deal with the Lakers.
Dude, what?
Yeah.
What happened? Do you remember when we went to the Champions Classic? It was in Indy when Zion and Duke and Zion. You remember Zion, Jack White, and Cam Reddish, the big three of Duke. Ran Kentucky off the floor. That Champions Classic. What was that? 2018,
2019.
Yeah.
Yep.
We went to the Pacers game the night before.
Yep.
And Oladipo was. Is that correct? He wasn't on the Pacers yet.
No, he was. He was.
He was?
Or were they trading for him?
Did I go to a different... I'm trying to remember when I... No.
I just remember that game, you and I were... All we talked about was how Sabonis was better than Miles Turner, and that Sabonis is going to have to take his spot, and obviously now Sabonis is an all-star.
I thought it was that game, because I just pulled... Yeah, Oladipo was on the... I was tripping myself out. Whatever game we went to, I just remember thinking, like, if Victor Oladipo is God. Because I thought Sabonis was better than him, but it was Victor Oladipo's team, because he played at Indiana... He played at IU 45 minutes down the road.
Yep.
That was the one franchise that Victor Oladipo could be horrible at, and people would still love it. He'd still be the number 1 jersey seller. He's a great dude. Gets the community. Like, he checked every box. And then he kind of forced his way out of Indianapolis, and I haven't heard from him since. And what the hell?
Yeah, well, he goes to Houston, and then he says he will not play in Houston. He gets traded to Miami. He gets hurt in Miami. Their medical team says we can't do anything with him. Let him go. So yeah, it's a mess.
I pulled up the CBSSports.com NBA free agency tracker where they have the power rankings.
Yes.
Where's the top free agents? Duncan Robinson, number 9. So again, another top 10.
We did it, baby.
Try to guess where Victor Oladipo is. Just throw. I'll tell you how many people are on this list. They have 117 listed.
Is he behind Caruso? That's my first question.
Let me control F. I gotta. He is. Yes, he is behind. He is lower than Alex Caruso. He is lower than TJ McConnell. He is lower than Cameron Payne.
Wow.
He is lower than Blake Griffin.
I'm trying to think about how many. I'm gonna say 40. Is he in the 40s? He's got to be in the 40s.
He is number 32, one spot ahead of Bobby Portis.
Which is ridiculous, because Bobby Portis should be ahead of him, to be quite honest. I mean, the guy just helped the team win the championship.
PJ Tucker's at 40 on this list.
What?
Carmelo Anthony at 48.
Never mind.
JJ
I take
Redick
back
at
what I said
51.
about these lists. These lists are wrong.
Who's at the very bottom? Let me see. What did he have at the very James Johnson.
I love James Johnson too.
Ben McLemore is at 114. That's another guy, by the way. Like I remember watching him and
he just signed with the Trailblazers, I think, right? I
he signed with the Blazers.
Yeah, talk about Dame Lillard, man. What a tough time in Tokyo.
Ben McLemore destroyed Ohio State multiple times. Is that yeah, I think that's it. Stanley Johnson. Oh my God, I'm just like, I mean, gosh, this is just like a trip down memory lane of like,
yeah. The other two guys that are worth watching, which I'm shocked they haven't been signed yet. Reggie Jackson, who was amazing in the playoffs, and he's an unrestricted free agent. I'm guessing he may re-sign with the Clippers, but I thought that New York signed D Rose, so they're out of the market now. Which shout out to D Rose, that was awesome. But Reggie Jackson's a name that comes, and then Dennis Schroeder, is asking for at least $20 million a year, and I don't think that money's out there for him, but it would have been before he went to the Lakers. So those are the two names, the point guards from the Clippers and the Lakers of last year, both unsigned, and I don't know where they are on that list, but they have to be high. I would assume Schroeder should be higher. Schroeder's a top 20 guy in this class, I would assume.
You think so?
I think so. I mean,
should we start doing stars for these guys? Would that make it easier to understand? If
Yeah.
We did
yeah. That's what we need. I need to know who's a 3-star free agent, who's a 4-star free agent, who's a 5-star free agent.
All right, let's do some Team USA talk, Tate. It's been a hot minute. In the time since we last talked about Team USA and now, I think USA is back officially. Is that what we're calling it? Team USA beats Spain by 14. Ricky Rubio goes absolutely nuts. It looks scary there for a second that we might blow it. We were down were we down at halftime? No, not quite.
We came back and tied it at half,
yeah.
but we were down by 11 after the first quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were down 11 at the first quarter. We did it. What are your thoughts? You're the guy that's locked in. I keep going back and forth just because I am very much the USA basketball fan that I don't want to be, which is that every time we don't win by 50, I'm like, this team sucks. We're definitely not winning gold. And then
that's pretty much America at this point with this team. It feels like, we're all kind of getting to that point. People are rolling their eyes.
I catch like the right stretch where Durant's like, it looks like Kevin Durant, and I say to myself,
third quarter. Yeah.
Who the hell is going to beat us? We're the best. Kiss our ass, world. I can't believe anybody ever thought we weren't winning gold. We're with 4 teams left. And to tell the people who are the 4 teams left, we have France. France plays Slovenia.
Yes, that's in the other side of the bracket. And now we play Australia.
We play Australia. We have already lost to France in these Olympics. We have already lost to Australia in a tune-up game played in Las Vegas. And we have already lost to Slovenia on the internet in terms of teams that people are cheering for. So we have our backs against the wall. Are we the underdogs is the question you have to ask yourself with the 4 teams remaining.
And honestly, it's gotten to that point. It does feel as though, I somehow have a lot of Mavericks people that I see on Twitter. So it does feel like all the Mavericks fans are pulling for Luka and Slovenia, which is
I don't like that. No, I don't like that at all.
I don't either. And it also shows about the NBA-ification, whatever you want to say about, our fandom, where we kind of have a player that people pull for. They don't really pull for franchises anymore. So all these Mavs fans are like, I'm a Luka fan, so I have to pull for Luka. But then if you think about just being in Texas, and especially being in Dallas of all places, and them not riding hard for America, Dallas is the place where, like, don't mess with Texas. T-shirts are everywhere, and the fact that they're like, we might be pulling for Slovenia is insane to me. So that's one wrinkle I can't really get down with. But then the team USA itself, we're still kind of figuring out our identity, Titus. I do think there is a group of stars, like Dame Lillard is the number 2 star on this team, right? Like, again, we're talking in the NBA terms. So he thinks when KD's not going, it's like his time to get going. But he also, by him getting going, he's not getting anyone else involved. Very similar to Jason Tatum, right? They are, scorers by nature. That's just what they do. But they also are not facilitating. Or Jason Tatum had a few good passes down the stretch, so I'll give him credit for that. But regardless, KD is our number 1 option, bar none, both on the defensive side and on the offensive side. But I think number 2, as far as the guy that we need to have the ball in his hands to get everyone calmed down and settled, is Drew Holiday. And we, in crunch time yesterday, we got Drew Holiday in the game. We let Drew Holiday be the point guard. We let Drew Holiday pick up Ricky Rubio, who was on fire full court. He got very physical with him. And we need more of that. And I'm hoping as we push into the Final Four right now that we realize that our crunch time five has to involve Drew Holiday and not Dame Lillard, unless Dame Lillard is playing off the ball. And I think that could be very interesting if Dame is the 2 guard and Drew is the 1. Maybe that works in some sort of capacity. But right now, I would love to see Dame run the second unit when KD comes out, and they sort of stagger the scoring between those two. Pop is obviously figuring it out. I think that we have the recipe to win this thing, but at the end of the day, we're trying to appease the stars at times. You know what I mean? And that is what's gotten us in trouble. And that's what scares me a little bit still.
To your point about Drew Holiday, this is why I've been clamoring for Mike Conley to be on Team USA for forever. And Drew Holiday is basically, in my mind, very similar to Mike Conley. So I don't hate that pick. I just hate that it's not Mike. But the last thing USA has ever needed is a point guard that shoots first. That's never been this is the Drew Holiday and Mike Conley fit the mold of exactly what a Team USA needs.
Yes.
And Chris Paul did as well when he was playing for Team USA as well. Going back to people cheering for Luka, Mavs fans have now found themselves cheering for Luka. Do you think that some part of why I don't know how to say it. Like, it's not that people are cheering against Team USA. It's not that American basketball fans are cheering against us per se. But I think there is a large. Yeah, they might be. There's a large portion of this country that if they woke up and saw that we lost to Australia, they would laugh. They would think it's like it's funny instead of being like, "Damn, how did we lose? I'm upset that we lost."
Yeah.
Do you think that is because of Kevin Durant? That Kevin Durant is the face of this, and Kevin Durant is a guy who is polarizing, to put it lightly, Tate. That Kevin Durant is not. I don't know. He's a superstar that doesn't really. I mean, I brought this point up when we had Greg on the show, that I don't really feel like Kevin Durant has fans. I don't feel like he's got a group of people built in that like people just love Kevin Durant. Do you think that might be the problem? That we need a better face of. Not that he's, you know what I mean? Like he's obviously a great player.
Kevin Durant came to the Olympics to get fans. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This was a brand play for Kevin Durant to be lovable and to be the face of USA basketball. And I'll give him credit. He's done a good job basketball wise, you know, and I think he's said all the right things. Like even after this game, he was like, "We're not too high about this win. We're just happy to survive against Spain. We know we got our work cut out for us ahead." You know, he said very nice things about Jason Tatum, even though I don't agree with it at all. You know, but he's trying to be, you know, a good teammate. He's trying to show that he cares about USA basketball at a certain level. But I think you're right. He has lost whatever, because OKC fans were his base. Yeah. And when he left, I mean, they all went the opposite route. He went to the Warriors. They were all Steph Curry fans that were like happy to have him here, but they weren't diehards. And then he went to Brooklyn, who has no fans, and, you know, other than like hype beasts. And how far can hype beasts take you? So
I feel like what my ultimate point is that basketball fans are approaching the Olympics like they approach NBA, where it's basically the identity of the team is the best player. That's just like this is Kevin Durant's team. So I feel like there are a lot of Americans that don't necessarily love Kevin Durant. So if we lose, it's almost funny because it's like, this is hilarious that Durant still can't win a ring unless he, you know, has he needs a super team.
The LOL culture.
Yeah. Right. So my question to you is, because I'm thinking about it, I'm looking on the USA roster, and there are very few guys on this roster that I think people would get like excited about. Like Jason Tatum's not getting the love either. If Jason Tatum were the best player on this team, nobody's like, hell yeah, I'm rallying behind that team. Draymond Green certainly is not getting that. Damian Lillard might.
Dame Lillard is probably the most likable, but he's also probably the worst FIBA player we have. To be quite honest with you, he does not fit the FIBA game. Like, it's too physical.
I think Booker might. But I guess my question ultimately, I'll just get to the whole freaking point of this. Who's the guy that we need? It's got to be Steph, right? The guy who's the American basketball player right now that, say, next Olympics could say, I'm playing in the Olympics, I'm going to be the best player, and if we build the team around this guy, most of this country will like live and die, and if we lose in the Olympics, it's going to be devastating because this guy is our best player, and that's like the team.
It would. The answer should be Steph Curry, but I think Steph Curry knows, and you and I both know, that Steph Curry is a shooting guard. You know, like, I mean, he can play the point guard, but Steph Curry in FIBA basketball, where he has to have the responsibility, and We've seen it before. Like when Steph Curry started playing in the World Games in 2010, this is how it stacked up. These are the point guards in front of him. It was Derrick Rose, who was perfect for international play. Literally, like if Derrick Rose had stayed healthy, that would be the answer. And then behind him was Russell Westbrook, who was also great for FIBA play because he was very physical. He could guard the 1, he could guard the 2, and then Steph played behind both of them. And that was because Steph wasn't, as polished at the time. And obviously he became the champion that we all know today. I think he would get people excited, but I think he would also have some growing pains. He's played FIBA basketball. He obviously gets it, but it just would be more of a facilitating type role. But the hype you're saying is right.
I'm talking about like what could get Mavericks fans to not cheer for Slovenia if Steph Curry was the best player.
Yes,
how many guys are on that list?
It's Steph and LeBron probably.
And that's about it, right?
And even LeBron is like, it's 50-50. You know what I mean? So I think Steph is the only one really that would get the people going.
That's crazy. That's pretty crazy. I think Klay Thompson could, but like Klay's never going to be the best player on Team USA.
You're talking about like the face of the franchise. Like Steph Curry would have been Steph Curry was the answer, and Steph Curry was going to play or was contemplating or going back and forth on the decision, but I think once he realized KD was playing, he said to himself, like we're talking about, KD is the face of the team. I'm not the face of the team. I've already done that runaround before for 4 years, so I'm just gonna let him have it.
This is great off-season content that we should plan for, and by that I mean definitely.
Who's the face of American basketball?
If you could build the perfect Olympic team that could win the gold medal still and would be the favorite to win the gold medal, but 2 would be composed of all likable guys or like you're building a team. This is the true redeem team, Tate. This is the brand redeem team. We're not trying to redeem our success on the international level because I'm going to assume we're going to win gold this year anyway. But next Olympics, we're trying to rebrand or we're trying to redeem the brand and get all of America back excited about USA basketball.
Yeah.
What team are you building? It's got Steph, it's got Klay Thompson, it's got Brad Stevens as head coach.
See, I don't think Stevens is the head coach anymore. I think he could have been, but I don't.
Who's the coach that's going to get everyone like Jay Wright? I guess.
Maybe Jay Wright, but even Jay Wright, I mean, he's very lovable. I will say, I think the 2 players that they have to have on the next iteration that America will fall in love with is Zion in shape.
Zion
in shape, and Ja Morant. I think those are the 2 guys because Ja Morant is perfect for FIBA play, and Zion is also perfect for FIBA play because he's kind of a mismatch at the 4, and they can push him to the 5 if they need to. And they're so young, and they're so. I mean, let's just be honest. Zion is so likable when he plays basketball and he's in shape and he's playing at a high level. And Ja Morant is the same thing. So if you get those 2 together and they're like old friends, and they're like having the best time together, it kind of will beckon back to when Chris Paul and Carmelo and LeBron were younger and they were all playing together. You kind of you like that little nucleus, and I think that they could be a nice younger generation. I'm not the biggest fan of Tatum. I know that everyone's saying he's the face of USA basketball. If he becomes the face of USA basketball, then more people will pull for Slovenia.
That's what I mean. That's a problem. I think Zion and Ja Morant's a great call. I don't know. I have to think about it. I wasn't prered for this exercise.
No, I know. It's a good question, though. I do think Zion is the one that could bring us together, though. I really do. Because I'm a North Carolina diehard, and I want Zion to succeed,
Yeah.
And I think if that is the case, then I think a lot of America will be on the same bandwagon. And Zion captured the zeitgeist. Like, if you ask a random person on the street, do they know the name Zion? They're like, yeah, I've heard of that guy. He's a basketball player, right? You know what I mean? And that is kind of the next level of getting the American fan, the common fan who is going to watch swimming and gymnastics and, canoe sprinting and all these other stupid sports that they're gonna say, oh, I got to watch basketball because I got to see this great guy Zion. And I think that could work.
This is going to be I'm going to have to think about this long and hard.
Think about it.
Yeah. I'm getting Mike Conley on that team somehow.
Yeah, you got to get Conley on the team. I think if Steph doesn't go, we replace Steph with Conley. I think that's a fair trade for everybody because Mike has the same kind of makeup as a team player and all this other stuff. He's great on air, great, in the locker room.
Yeah,
that's what we need. Also, I mean, I like this team, by the way. I really do. Like JaVale is awesome. I think I don't dislike him.
I definitely don't dislike him, but there's an element of this group that when they lose, it's almost funny to people. And I think it starts at the top, right? I think it's because of Durant. I don't know. That's just my theory.
Well, when your life is part troll, then you expect to be trolled back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like obviously the people are waiting on his downfall to troll him back,
Right.
and that's what I hate about it all.
And I want to get to a point where we don't where we put it aside. You know what I mean? Like we clown Kevin Durant all season, but then when he puts on the red, white, and blue, and I think that you're right. That's part of like Kevin Durant's mindset. Maybe is like, if I put on the red, white, and blue, then everyone will like me.
They have to love me.
And he's not wrong, because it does work on me. Like, I'm definitely cheering for Kevin Durant in a way that I never would if he was playing for the Nets or the Warriors or whatever. But also, I wish it was Steph and Zion and Ja Morant.
I still can't believe that Zion, and I've heard that Zion is not necessarily in playing shape right now. So like the fact that we couldn't get him into camp and get him into shape and get him on this team and get him into the system, I think that's a big miss by Jerry Colangelo and Grant Hill and the whole Team USA group, because Ja Morant and Zion would have been awesome. And we need young guys that are fun, you know, that want to, I don't know. We just need like that hunger on the sideline where they're cheering hard and going crazy. JaVale does that, but that's pretty much it.
What else do we want to talk about? Did you see this news that the NCAA in November? I'm not really sure what else.
I don't know what to make of it. I did see the headline, but I don't know what to make of it.
Basically, in November, the NCAA is meeting to all look at each other and say, what is it that we do here? What is it that you say you do here, NCAA?
Yes, the Bobs are coming to town.
Yeah, and they are just overhauling. How was it phrased? They're having like a constitutional convention.
Yep.
To overhaul the governance of I don't know, a lot of mumbo jumbo.
They said that they want to plan dramatic changes. That was the phrase that they used.
And again, as I've pointed out many times over, the NCAA has historically existed to preserve amateurism, Tate, and to crown champions. That's it. Those are the two things they do. Amateurism is dead. Yes. And Will Wade is holding the knife. So we are now left with the NCAA handing out trophies, and I think they're going to now call a meeting to be like, how shiny should we make our trophy to make sure that, because by the way, they have the two things, amateurism trophies, amateurism dead. Now you have trophies, Tate. The number one sport that exists in college sports, the biggest, the cash cow, the thing that is driving all this conference realignment and TV contracts and everything is football. The NCAA, as a reminder, in the highest division of football in this country, in college football, the NCAA does not crown a national champion. It is the College Football Playoff Committee, or the BCS, or whatever iteration exists at the time. Like, that's who does it. It's not the NCAA. So now the one function the NCAA has right this second, as it pertains right now, is basically the NCAA tournament. And Greg Sankey's looking at that as the commissioner of the SEC, as he's trying to scoop up every school in the country, and he's saying, I could do the NCAA tournament. I'm going to do the NCAA tournament. I'm going to find a way.
He's like, I'm going to have the SEC tournament, which involves everyone that's good at basketball. Yes.
So I think this is, I mean, to put it, frankly, I think this is going to be like a watershed moment in college sports, is whatever comes out of this convention that happens. And the NCAA is going to do their best to like puff their chest out and say, we are very important and you guys need us. But, you know, I think if they show the slightest sign of weakness and they put out like their new bylaws, or whatever the hell the term is for what they're drafting here, and people suss through it and are like, wait, this says nothing. Yeah, I think the NCAA is in trouble. I really genuinely believe this, because I've had people, like, there are a lot of people that listen to the show and friends of ours, family, whatever, that will text me or call me after they listen to me go on a rant about how I think the NCAA might not exist in my lifetime, and they're like, you don't really believe that, do you? I think I really believe that. I really do believe that there will be a point in time where the NCAA will no longer exist, because it serves no purpose. It's bloat at this point.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, I remember when North Carolina was going through, you know, the Butch Davis football scandal, and Ohio State was doing the tattoo stuff, there was like these conversations that were happening with these big programs, basically threatening the NCAA that they would leave. They would disassociate. Certainly on
the message boards, they were saying,
yeah. Well, and then the board of governors, which is basically people on the message boards. You know what I mean? Yeah. The same kind of clientele.
The message board of governors.
They're all having the same conversations, and they were. I mean, and this has happened for a long time. There's always. I mean, there are 1,100 colleges that are associated with the NCAA. Their idea, based on this meeting, is to create a 22-person committee Which I'm assuming Condoleezza Rice will be on that committee.
Yes.
Based on if history tells us anything,
Facts.
Coach K will probably be on that committee when he's done coaching at Duke. But if whatever they put together and they put it out, and Sankey and the Big 12, Pac-12, whatever iteration they turn into, and the ACC and all these groups get it.
Big Ten is also one.
No. I think they disbanded. I think when all these groups get this info, and like you said, they digest it, they realize it's all fluff, it's all BS. There's nothing to do here. Then there's this separate conversation of a large overhaul where there's no such thing as the NCAA. The people that work at the NCAA, they're usually a part of institutions anyway. They probably go back to some sort of member institution within the NCAA, and then they're part of this new whatever group that is formed. It is going to be, I mean, the reason they're having this meeting is because they already suspect something like this could happen, right? I mean, that's the writing on the wall for this. And then they keep saying dramatic changes. I read this article multiple times over. No one even knows what that means. You know what I mean? Like even the guy reporting it is like there has been no inkling as to what this could actually look like. They don't even know what dramatic changes means. They just know that it sounds good. It sounds provocative. Sounds like they're going to do some work. They're going to make a committee. How many committees do they have at this point? I mean, good God, and none of them do anything. So it's just. They're just trying to kick the can down the road as they always do, and I do think eventually someone's going to pick up that can and throw it away and just say, "I'm done with this." Yes.
Dude, and as I'm forecasting what's coming next, history is cyclical, and and the same way that cutting the cord with cable was, you thought, why am I paying for all these channels I don't have, Tate?
Yep.
And this is not I'm not the first one to point out this observation, but we're cutting the cord, so we're gonna just basically buy the little, you get YouTube TV and it's just got like the channels that I like, and that's all I need. And then slowly I'll just buy the premium service of the other thing, like one or two there. And now we've reached a point where there's like a trillion.
Yeah. Now I'm spending more
pluses.
on my all my pluses more than I ever spent on cable. Yeah.
And we're 1 or 2 years away from someone stepping up and saying, I'm going to bundle them all together. I'm going to charge you one flat rate, and you can get all these premium services under one thing. And then we'll all say, wow, you just invented
what a great
cable.
idea.
You just reinvented cable. Thank you. I
It's
think
kind of like podcasts and radio. You know what I mean?
Podcasts and radio. Yeah. Let's put podcasts on the radio.
Like, wait, what?
Live podcasts that we broadcast on radio. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I think the same thing is this would be the funniest outcome to me with college sports is like, we break the NCAA disbands. There's no more NCAA, and we start getting like all these conferences. Like the SEC decides we don't need the NCAA. We have the SEC. Let's just crown the SEC champion. The Big Ten does the same. Whatever. And then there's kind of like no national presence, no national governing body that brings them all together and is like, all right, now let's make the SEC champion play the Big 12 champion, play the Big 10 champion to see who's the best. And we go back to like 100 years ago when it was just like you win the Big 10 and that's it, and then it's over, and that's like congratulations. And now we fight over who wins the national champion. And then the Big 10, like something happens along the way where like even more division happens, where like Texas goes to the SEC and then they realize, like Alabama realizes why like the pot is getting diluted, so we're going to break up and go independent like Notre Dame is. And then like a lot of schools just start becoming independent. And long story short, I think we're going to wake up and like everyone's going to be independent and everything's going to be broken up. And then schools are going to start forming conferences. Again. And then there's going to be a national oversight that's like, what if we take all of the conferences and make like a big
Yes. We're like 20 years away from living the exact same thing that we already had before. Yes.
And my great grandson is the guy who restarts the NCAA. In 88 years, he
actually listened back to this podcast. He's like, I got an idea.
And then the NCAA is back, and it's just all cyclical, and we, and that's where we end up. So I don't know.
It's the most ridiculous thing that we. The funniest part about all of it was that the Supreme Court said that there is no major workforce, the corporation that does not pay their workforce. That was basically like the decision that was made by the Supreme Court. That's why they said the NCAA was wrong for doing what they were doing. And then their answer is obviously to let the NIL happen, which is basically the idea that instead of us paying them, we'll just let other people pay our workforce, which is, that'd be like if you and I did a podcast for Fox Sports and then we had, Arrowhead Water is actually who pays us, but we just are like you have to do our sponsors, and we're like, thank you very much, to Arrowhead Water, but we're here for Fox Sports. I mean, it makes no sense. Like, at the end of the day, even though the kids can get paid, the way that they were able to deviate and not actually have a workforce, they still were able to get around it. You know what I mean? They're still not taking money out of their pocket and paying these players. So at some point, I don't know what it'll look like, but there's two ways to play it. It's like with all the TV deals that are happening, that's already this huge thing. So it's like we either get rid of the TV contracts, because then that actually goes back to some sort of semblance of normalcy with these sports where there's not all this huge money coming into it. That's never going to happen. And if you're a kid that is a 5-star recruit going to Alabama, I hate to tell you, Nick Saban's not letting you go to class or study for your test over practice. You know what I mean? So like there is this there is no shift that's going to happen under the current structure that actually makes sense. That's why when I see people say, well, the scholarship is worth, $200,000 or $180,000 or, $300,000 or whatever it is, that would be great if that kid actually was a student. He's not.
Yeah, right.
And the best way I have always thought that you could do this is to say, all right, well, why don't they do like 6 hours of classes, for their 3-4 years when they're actually a competitor or playing the sport, and they get hours in, they at least have enough time to do those classes, and then they can come back and then finish the rest of their hours at their own convenience, but it's all built into some sort of funneled system. But that's never going to happen either, because it's not like we're recruiting actual students. These universities aren't recruiting actual students. They're recruiting superstar recruits that are going to be prospects that turn into professionals, best case scenario. So it's just like this loop to nowhere, and the NCAA doesn't care. I mean, these conferences care more because, again, it's closer proximity to them, so they have to, and the schools obviously are closer proximity, so they have to deal with it. But it's a rat race to nowhere. The NCAA, the racket is up at this point, So it's like you can build all the committees you want to, but like you said, eventually these schools are going to say, well, why are they here? What do they do here?
Yeah,
I don't want to be here. I don't want to work with them. They're just trying to get rid of me. Like, stop.
One of the solutions, I guess, if trying to figure out the balance between being a student when you're really just a professional athlete is what if you just finally allow athletes to major in their sport? Like you can just major in football if you go to Ohio State. Yeah. And you're just like, and here's the proof of me, having done the work.
And then you can get a job in the NFL or, like in the actual, the business side of the operation. Because you're like, I went to Ohio State and I majored in football.
Sounds stupid, but I don't know. We give out stupid degrees all the time.
We give out dumber degrees. That's for sure.
Especially our two schools.
Whatever they want.
Oh man. Other news of stuff that we can talk about forever, and will always another evergreen content mine for us is who is rumored. We should just turn this into a segment. Who's rumored to be joining the SEC this week? I saw that Clemson and Florida State. There was a report that Clemson and Florida State had reached out to the SEC about joining, and then Clemson and Florida State both have denied it. Yeah. And I am so starved or not starved. I'm so just foaming at the mouth for any conference realignment, especially SEC rumors, that the fact that they denied it, I take that as, even though that's like exactly, you know what I mean? Like, if they don't deny it, I'm like, ooh, they're not denying it. And if they do deny it, I'm like, wow, interesting.
Why do they have to deny it?
Why do they have to deny it? So that's where I'm at. Clemson, FSU to the SEC. I don't even know how the report started, other than, I don't know, it makes the most sense in the world. I think that's probably how it started. I think someone just said this makes more sense than anything else in the world. So
yeah, but John Swofford, once he got swindled by Maryland, he basically, the contracts that they signed in the ACC for their new deal or whatever, it's a $500 million buyout, I'm pretty sure, to get out of the ACC. So it is very, very hard. I mean, and if you're Clemson or Florida State, you're saying to yourself, we can make that money back, if we decide to do this, or you presume that you can. But that's a hefty price to get out of the ACC. So I assume that's probably why they were so adamant to say that they weren't doing that. But there's no doubt in my mind they fished. And I also wouldn't be shocked that, because then part of the report was that the SEC, whoever was leaking from their side, said, they don't have enough money in their markets for us to want them, Clemson and Florida State, but we still want Notre Dame, which I think is hilarious. that they are still just like, yeah, but we also want NBC. So if those guys are available, we would love to talk to them.
If one's got to go from the ACC, who are you kicking to the curb between Clemson and FSU as the ACC guy?
Man, I actually like Florida State, but Clemson's more of an ACC school. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it's kind of you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And if one were to go, then I would just send both. To be honest with you, like I'm totally fine. It's one of those things where. Let them go. Like if they want to go, let them go. I don't force people to be in situations they don't want to be in. I'm like, if you don't want to be here, literally, see you later. Like and also we would like to take your $1 billion. Like, and I would pronounce that every single time in a meeting that they paid us $1 billion to go lose to Alabama and Florida and all these other schools. So. That would be fun. I would laugh at them. I mean, if you're Clemson, it's stupid. Like you own the ACC in football. Why would you go be second fiddle to Alabama? I don't understand.
Because the SEC is the future, Tate. You just got done saying you see the writing on the wall that you that's why.
SEC. I mean, if it was a different conversation, they're like, we want to bring Duke and North Carolina to the SEC. Then,
right.
Now I'm listening. Mac Brown, baby. Mac Brown's not gonna be second fiddle to anybody.
What's so funny though? You're doing it like I think you're half joking, but exactly what you just did right there is how all of this works. That like if
it's not your school, you're like, what a bunch of idiots. But if it is your school, you're like, oh,
yes, I love it. It's
if Ohio State and Michigan are talking to the SEC, you're like, oh.
To that point, that's what I think. Like conferences are going to dissolve. Like the NCAA is going to be the first to go, and then the conferences, because you're going to just notice that like you can't trust anybody. You're like, even if Ohio State joins the SEC, you think Ohio State is going to get along with that? Like none of those schools are going to get along. They hate each other.
Yeah,
it's literally since the Civil War. It was Ohio versus the South. There's been like as long as it's been a country, that's been a rivalry. Ohio joins the SEC. Then they're never going to get along. Everyone's going to be looking over your shoulder at all times. That there could be a time, Tate, where we all just are like, we don't even need conferences. Let's all go the Notre Dame model.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, my great grandson comes along and it's like, I got an idea.
Wait a second. What if we have rules for everybody?
What if we have and what if we don't pay the players? Oh man. All right, let's wrap this up. Anything else we got to hit that?
I just want to shout out Memphis. I want to shout out Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway famously hired Larry Brown, 80-year-old Larry Brown, to come and join his program, the Memphis Tigers. I thought that he was done. I thought that Penny was like, I got all I need. He wasn't done, Titus. He reportedly is going to hire Rasheed Wallace, ball don't lie extraordinaire, to come join his staff as well. And I sit here as a North Carolina fan thinking to myself, how is Larry Brown and Rasheed Wallace not on the staff in North Carolina, but yet they're going to be on the staff in Memphis with Penny Hardaway? I'm jealous. I'm also excited because Penny promised us a lot of content. And let's be honest, he hasn't given us the content that we've been wanting. And I think the clock starts now. This is, how we always say the first year doesn't count unless they win. The Penny Hardaway era just started right now because James Wiseman was taken out for the NCAA and all that stuff. So this is his first year at Memphis in my mind. I will disregard everything else, even the NIT championship. I don't discuss the NIT championship, so I throw that out as well. Memphis basketball, congratulations! You just hired Penny Hardaway, and oh my God, look at his great staff: Larry Brown and Rasheed Wallace. I can't wait to watch for the first time. It's going to be amazing. And also, if the American becomes a power conference, the Big 12 is trying to keep that from happening. But if that does happen, then Memphis is really going to the moon. So
there you go. So this is Penny's first year. I like
first
it.
year.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Congratulations, Penny.
Thinking about Carolina guys on other staffs. I just thought of this nightmare hypothetical for you, and I'm curious how you would take it. Roy Williams is not on staff. He's not on staff, but do you remember what Gene Cady did for Steve Lavin, which is basically to sit 2 rows behind the bench at every St. John game?
Yep.
And we weren't really sure what his role with the team was. Let's say Kirk Heinrich is now the head coach of Northern Iowa. Say he's from Iowa, right? Kirk Heinrich's
I think
from Iowa,
so.
I think.
Yeah.
And he asked Roy to just sit 2 rows behind the bench and cross his arms at all the games.
I'm okay with Northern Iowa.
I will wear the Northern Iowa polo, and you have to now watch Northern Iowa every Kirk Heinrich game. It's Roy Williams is now tied to to a different university. Your thoughts, Tate?
No, I don't think that's even possible because from what I can gather, Roy Williams is still like the shadow coach of North Carolina.
Nobody cares about what the reality is, Tate.
Yeah,
this is the hypothetical.
I thought that you were gonna say Kansas. Like if Roy was doing this at Kansas, it would be a big problem.
A nightmare. Yeah,
it would be a nightmare. I mean, it's kind of like when Larry Brown went to the 08 game. I mean, Roy was there obviously too, but Larry Brown went to the game when Kansas played North Carolina when Kansas blew us out up 40-12. We all remember, and Larry Brown was pulling for Kansas. And again, Larry Brown played basketball at North Carolina. That's his alma mater. And they asked him in the crowd who he's pulling for, and he's like, Kansas. And that like shot me in the heart when that happened. So if Roy Williams went and did the same thing, I would be shook.
What about like a Thad Matta situation where Roy, like UNC Asheville, is like, here's a dump truck of money, Roy.
Yeah, that's
I want
fine.
you to just kind of like
that's fine.
Be around.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay if it's like a Northern Iowa, UNC Asheville, just he wants to be around basketball in some sort of capacity. I will not be okay if it's like a power school like Kansas, you know, where I'm like, where Kansas fans are coming back at us and saying he's our guy, and I'm like, no. Wait a second here.
I want to shout out my first shout out before you go. Let me see here. I got a handful. Coach K. I'll start with Coach K.
Yes.
Coach K. A man who is such a good recruiter, is such a force at Duke University, Tate, that he has landed his first retirement 5-star, his first post coaching at Duke 5-star. A lot of people are erroneously attributing what's the guy's name? Derek Whitehead. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, he's from New Jersey. Yeah.
Derek?
I think it's Derek.
I
think it is Derek. I mean, I like Derek better, but
do you remember
this is a pan situation that we got to figure out.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember these, but it was a very brief run of them. Mike O'Malley for ESPN the magazine did these commercials where he'd wear a Bruins jersey and he called himself the Rick. He was just like,
I don't remember.
Oh my God! Someone out there listening remembers where Mike O'Malley's like, "What's up? I'm Rick. My friends call me the Rick," and then and it was like the height of Mike O'Malley when he was like coming off of Guts, and his star has never been brighter. Pre-Glee, I'm talking pre-Glee, post-Guts. Mike O'Malley is doing ESPN the magazine commercials, and he's the Rick. Go look him up on YouTube.
I'll go check it out.
That's why I want his name to be Derek.
It does feel like we're gonna get in a Trayvon Duval situation here, where we're like, I don't know what his name is, but something around there.
But Whitehead is a class of 2022 5-star, Tate, and he has committed to John Shire. John Shire will be the head coach at Duke. But he has said in his commitment announcement, or like why he liked Duke, is that basically he loved Coach K and that whole program and all that kind of stuff. He mentioned Coach K in the quote that I saw as to why he's committing to Duke. So congratulations, Coach K.
You did it again.
He's recruiting from the grave, basically. From the great beyond, you're still getting it done on the recruiting trail. God bless you. So
yeah, Coach K, we love him to death. We miss him with Team USA basketball. If Coach K was coaching, like you mentioned before, we'd be winning games by 50 points. Even with the current constructed roster, as we know, Coach K is just that good of a coach. So yeah, shout out to him. He just keeps getting it done, and he will be around as much as he wants to be with John Shire. I could see him still kind of shadow running Duke for like 2-3 years.
Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
I think he's gonna skin John Shire alive and wear his carcass on the bench and just continue coaching.
Yes, we're like, is that John Shire or Miss Doubtfire?
Why did I say that? What a ridiculous thing.
I mean, it checks out, honestly. If I know anything about Duke, that's something he would do.
I want a supercut of all the things we've said about Duke throughout the years, like stuff like any other program. I would have paused and been like, am I really saying that he's gonna wear his assistant coach's skin? I probably shouldn't say that. That's probably not a great thing. But for some reason, when we're talking about Cade Shire, I'm like, yeah, that's all right.
No, I mean, it's also it's possible. It's in the realm of possibility.
That's the other part. Is like,
wouldn't shock anybody.
I think Coach K could drink his blood. Honestly, I think that's actually something that might actually happen. I also want to shout out the town of Manhattan Beach. It's a sleepy little town on the coast of Southern California here that is very affluent. Tate, you know it well. You know Manhattan Beach well.
Yeah.
I have made my desire to break into the Manhattan Beach elite circle very public for quite some time. That has been been a goal of mine since I moved to the Los Angeles area. I don't know how close I am to it, but this weekend I went down to this thing they call the Manhattan Beach 6-man volleyball tournament. And I bring this up to say that I had no idea what I was walking into, and it is basically just I've fallen in love with volleyball during the Olympics. That's one thing that's happened is like I've been watching a ton of volleyball, and I found out that Manhattan Beach was doing this beach volleyball tournament. I thought it was going to be like a semi-pro deal. Like I thought it was going to be like actually. Instead, it's just like everybody is drunk out of their mind. They're all in costumes and they're playing volleyball, and it was absolutely hysterical. And part of the reason it's relevant to this show, and I think you might find it fascinating, is that one of the teams, Tate, on one of the teams, I look over at this court, I see a man in an American flag bandana just letting it rip amongst the bros. A lot of Cali bros out there.
Yeah.
Some are like
Cali bros love volleyball. Yeah, they
love volleyball.
Yeah.
Some of them look like some of the Cali bros are like, you know, your stereotypical trying to be Abercrombie models, trying to look good, more so than play good. Then you got like some washed up Cali bros that are just like old dudes with leathery skin that have just been playing beach volleyball their whole life, can't move quite as well, whatever.
Yeah.
Everything in between. And one of these Cali bros is wearing an American flag bandana, and I look over and I start squinting and I say to myself, is that? It is, Tate. A man by the name of Luke Walton, head coach of the Sacramento Kings, who is playing in this beach volleyball tournament with Richard Jefferson on his team and Chase Budinger on his team, Tate.
Oh my God. Well, that's a super team.
That's a super team. And part of the reason I wanted to bring this up too is because I went down on Friday, the day after the NBA draft. I was watching Richard Jefferson on my television Thursday night in Barclays Center with Rachel Nichols doing the NBA draft on ESPN, right?
Yeah.
The volleyball tournament starts at 9 a.m., which I guess is noon Eastern, but 9 a.m. LA time. And I drive down, and I'll be goddamn, Richard Jefferson is there in Manhattan Beach. And I said, this man loves beach volleyball so much
that he flew back for this.
He got on like a private jet or something, right? Yeah. I assume right after the draft was over, so he could be back and play beach volleyball with the Cali bros. What a scene it was. What a scene.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense for Richard Jefferson. And I will say, I have come to enjoy Richard Jefferson on TV over the past few months, more so than I ever thought I would. And the Lakers are signing every 35-year-old and plus free agent that there is around. And I saw Richard Jefferson put out that he is available if LeBron needs a locker room guy. And I think it's probably for volleyball reasons. He's like, I want to just play volleyball every Monday.
I want to play beach volleyball, with the boys. So, anyway, it was a good time, by the way. I recommend you.
Who won? Who won, by the way?
I don't know. I didn't stick around. I was too busy with other stuff. The party. It was like when I got there, it was like half party, half volleyball, and then by the end of the whole thing, it was like, is there still volleyball going on? I didn't realize. Whoops. No, dude, it really is insane though, because it's like I think most people picture, like, even when I say volleyball, I know a lot of people from the Midwest and the East Coast and the South listen to the show. And they probably picture like volleyball that you and I might play at our family reunion barbecue, where we're all just kind of standing there, no one really jumps, and then every so often you and I decide we're going to be the one to spike it, and we just hammer it on our brother's face or whatever. These guys are absolutely like they're one of the teams that did not win, because I know one of our mutual buddies was on the team and they sucked. But they had like 4 dudes that play professional beach volleyball. There's like a 6'10" dude with like 0% body fat that is just hammering. Like, it was insane. That's what made it so funny to me. Is like these people are in costumes. They're all drunk, but they're also like
Zach Schwartz. He seems like the
guy.
It was. God, that checks out.
It was his team. They had legitimately professional beach volleyball players where like half their team is 6'8" and taller.
Yeah, they have ringers. This isn't fair. Yeah.
And they're all like very good, but they're also like way too drunk to like win. You know what I mean? Because they were all like at the bar. I was with them. I was watching them just like pour pitchers of beer on each other. Yeah. And then 20 minutes later, they're trying to play volleyball. And anyway, that's what made it so funny to me, is like watching these guys who are like actually. It's I don't know. It's like if you went to NBA Summer League and there are like guys on NBA rosters that are just like getting drunk at the clubs in Vegas and then like playing basketball in front of you at the same time. And you're like, what is...
It's like you mix the nightlife and the day life. It's one thing.
So anyway, enough of that. But I in my mind, Richard Jefferson, Luke Walton, and Chase Budinger all won. So that's
I think so too.
I think
that sounds like a pretty good team, to be honest with you. And Chase is a professional, actually, right?
Yes.
So we have to suspect he would win.
Yeah, that was my big takeaway. Was I remember when Chase Budinger kind of stopped playing basketball and like started playing professional volleyball, and I remember thinking like, what? Why would you're not gonna like try to get back into the NBA? You're like, what's going on here, Chase? And then after going down there this weekend, I'm like, oh, I get it. You know, if I had a ton of money, this is a good life. This is
go to Arizona games like once a year. You fly in, everyone tells you how awesome you are. Go back to play volleyball on Saturday.
Just play some volleyball on the beach, and it's a a good life.
Living the dream.
Anyway, anything else before we go?
I just want to shout out the movie Tenet. I watched it for the first time on an airplane.
I saw this.
It was unbelievable.
I saw your
it was unbelievable.
stream of consciousness.
I'm so mad at everybody. I'm literally I've unfollowed like 5 movie critics that I used to follow. I don't. It's one of those things where there's like an imposter syndrome that went into my life because I was working with all these so-called critics and these intellectuals that knew so much about film and television and things when I was younger. So I soaked all this in, was trying to, curate my taste to fit, certain things. I would watch, movies that, Orson Welles films and things I hadn't seen before. So I tried to make my palette, expand my palette, whatever you want to say. But Chris Nolan has always been the first person that really got me. Like I saw Memento when I was younger. And then obviously Batman's my favorite, character, superhero, whatever you want to call him ever. And then the trilogy with The Dark Knight and Batman Begins was the first one that really got me, in The Dark Knight for sure. And then Dark Knight Rises, I had a great time. But anyways, I'm a Chris Nolan stan, as they would say on the internet. And I'm so much of one that when Tenet came out, it was obviously during a global pandemic, I was trying to... I didn't want to see him fail, you know what I mean? And all I saw was people saying that this movie was a miss and that I couldn't understand it, couldn't hear it, couldn't do this. John David Washington's bad, Rob Pattinson's bad, yada, yada, yada. And so... My decision was that I will stay out of this, right? And I'm going to wait, and I don't want to see Chris Nolan ever not succeed. And then I'm on this plane yesterday, flying back home. My dad just had his birthday, went and surprised him, had a great trip back in North Carolina, and I'm flying back. I'm feeling good. I'm like, you know what? Chris Nolan's never let me down. He's let the critics down before, but he's never let me down. Dunkirk was a masterpiece in my mind. So I'm like, he's never let me down. I'm going to go for it. It's a plane. It's going to take up 2.5 hours. I start this movie, the title sequence, before we even get, once we get to just Tenet, just to lead up there, better than any new Bond movie, that's what Bond's known for, their title sequences. Better than any of those. And I'm the guy next to me on the plane is laughing at me because he can see that I'm like livid. I'm like pissed. I'm literally pissed. I'm so upset because it's so good. And then as I'm watching the movie, one of the earlier lines in the movie, Barbara, the character's name, she says, don't try to understand it, feel it. You know what I mean? And that is Tenet to me. Don't come to me trying to talk about entropy and all these different things, the laws of the universe, and all that stuff. Shut up. Just feel it, enjoy it, and it washed over me. I'm gonna watch it again tonight at home on the big screen. I'm going to really, really enjoy it and savor the moment. And I just wanted to say, Chris Nolan, he's always been right. And I'm not saying he doesn't have flaws. I'm not saying there's not holes in plots. I'm not saying that the characters don't have the depth that they should or anything. I don't care about any of that. When I watch a movie, I want to be enthralled with the concept and the idea and the spectacle and all the things that go into movie making magic, and he does it every single time. And then guess what? He did it again, and I'm so mad that I let the haters win. That's why I'm so upset. I was like, I can't believe I let the haters win, and I can't believe they held me back from watching this for a year. It was a great movie. Go watch it if you have it. If you're at home right now, go watch it.
I thought you were going to say you didn't watch it originally because you wanted to see it in theaters, and the pandemic kept you from theaters, and then you're like, so I watched it on a plane.
No. It wasn't like, obviously that played a part in it. If I could have just gone to a theater, I probably would have gone on my own, but just the hate that I saw, the vitriol that I saw from people that were trying to slander my man Chris Nolan, and the fact that I watched it and I had a great time.
So is Chris Nolan, would you say he's number one on your list of artists, I guess we'll call it, for lack of a better term, who no matter what they do, you'll find a way to defend it?
Yeah, I mean, J. Cole and Chris Nolan are pretty much the two.
Yeah. Like J. Cole could just fart in a microphone and put the album out, and you'd be like, I get it. No one else gets it, but I understand what he was doing.
I wouldn't even say that I get it. I would just say you're a hater if you're talking trash about it. You know what I mean? That's all it is. I have no time for that because J. Cole is so important to my high school, all the mixtapes, everything. I'm like, I don't need any of this. And yeah, Chris Nolan's definitely up there. I mean, Michael Jordan, of course, is probably the one that's in. And by the way, if you haven't seen, Bob Costas just came back on the record, his new show, and he had Barkley on it, and Barkley is his first guest, and Barkley tells a story of why he and Jordan aren't friends anymore, and it was
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't want to ruin it because
don't spoil it. Yeah,
I don't want to spoil it, but go watch that. That was what I watched after I watched Tenet, and then I watched Charles Barkley say why he and Jordan weren't friends anymore, and I was like, man, I'm having a great flight.
I will say your heart's not always in it when you're defending Jordan, because like if I were to point out like his fashion sense, that Michael Jordan dresses like a goober, you'd be like,
so do I. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I'm a goober too. Like it's just like we're from North Carolina, we're from the country. Like we're like leave us alone. We're not supposed to be in Vogue. We're not supposed to be in GQ. Leave us alone.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right. Well, I've never seen Tenet, so I guess I need to go watch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
That's what made it so funny. It was like just watching you just like losing your mind about something. I had no point of reference whatsoever. And my understanding is it's already a confusing movie. And then watching you try to explain a confusing movie when I haven't seen it, it was hilarious. It was all hilarious. So.
Well, and also like Denzel Washington's up there as far as people I will defend, and his son, like people disrespecting John David Washington, who's the star of this film. I thought he did a great job. So like I watched this movie and I'm like, why were people talking crap about him? Like he's doing a good job. Like, I was so upset. I was infuriated. And there's people around me and they're like, this guy is going crazy over Tenet. It's like, yes, I can't help this.
Dude, I haven't seen you that fired up since
I learned a great lesson. If you like something, if you love something, if you really believe in someone or something, you just gotta go for it and you gotta stick with it. And who cares what the haters say? They don't let them dilute what you enjoy. And that's what I learned. Another valuable lesson as I flew back. Watching this great movie by Chris Nolan. It's a great time.
Life advice with Tate Frazier. There it is. All right, that's the show. We will see you guys later this week.
Yeah, we'll be back in studio.
Yeah, we're gonna be back in studio. It is August, which I don't know. We'll see. I was about to say something. I don't like
Summer League coming
I don't
up.
like making promises on the show because it's yeah.
We have a big guest coming on Thursday.
We'll leave it at that. See you guys.